Welcome back, guys. Who here likes water slides? I think they're pretty sick. I don't care if it's a homemade one or a theme park one, they're always fun, aren't they? But fun doesn't always mean 100% safe. Did you know that a recent study found there were actually 3 times as many water slide accidents than roller coaster accidents? My name is Danny Burke. Let's take a look at the top 10 craziest water slide accidents. Starting off at number 10. In July 2016, a video was shared online of David Salmon, a man from Dallas, Texas, flying off a water slide and down a rocky hill. It was a private slide at their vacation rental home that they had all been on before, but this time he couldn't seem to slow down and he went straight over the edge. He crashed into the rocky hill nearby and broke his arm, fractured his ribs and tore up his back with scrapes and bruises. David later said he could have easily broken his neck or back. Okay, at number 9 now we have The Volcano. This story from 2009 is about Chloe from the UK who visited a park in Tenerife with her boyfriend. They got onto a ride called The Volcano where they sat in a rubber ring that began to spin around. Now as they entered a dark tunnel, she knew something was wrong and began to feel herself slipping off the ring. Then she was thrown off altogether and smashed her face on the bottom of the slide, knocking herself unconscious. When she woke up, she was covered in her own blood and her 2 front teeth were completely missing. She was rushed to hospital where x-rays found she had fractured her top jaw and she spent 3 days in hospital. Sounds to me like that volcano is almost as dangerous as the real thing. Alright, moving on to number 8 now, we have the story of Kennedy Field. She was a 6-year-old girl from Edmonton, Canada. She was visiting Westview Village Park in August 2016 where they had set up a makeshift water slide. On her 4th time going down, disaster struck. She screamed, her mother ran to her and found that her leg had been scraped down to the bone. It was completely torn open and spurting blood everywhere. She had got her leg caught on one of the metal pegs holding the tarp to the ground. Apparently when one of the medics saw Kennedy's leg, they went as white as a ghost. The city banned all water slides at their park schemes until further investigation. Alright, at number 7 now we have a horrific story from the Nirvana Lagoon Park in Turkey. Zara Olsa was a 5-year-old girl going on a water slide at the park with her mum when she fell backwards out of the rubber ring at high speed. She smashed her head, she was knocked unconscious and her lifeless body slumped into the water. Her mother jumped in and managed to get her into the recovery position and amazingly she cleared her airways by cracking her tooth and moving her tongue. She had broken bones in her neck and her skull, her arm in 2 places and has been left with what might be permanent double vision. Apparently if the break had been just a 1/4 of an inch nearer to her spine, she would have been paralysed from the neck down. Okay, at the number 6 spot now we have the King Cobra water slide. This ride was at a Six Flags in New Jersey. A woman called Tolindra Pierre was celebrating her 20th birthday at the park when her and a male friend got onto the ride carrying a double tube from a different ride. Now double tubes were not allowed on the Cobra ride and also the 2 exceeded the 200-pound limit for a single tube. They were still allowed on. Because of their combined weight, they did not safely stop at the end of the ride and they slammed into the mouth of the Cobra at high speeds. That ride can actually reach speeds of 32 miles an hour. Talindra broke her ankle and went on to sue the park for $3 million in a negligence lawsuit. Okay, next up at number 5 we have Woburn Forest. This resort is part of the Center Parcs chain in the UK. In September 2015, 16-year-old Rhea Smith was riding on one of the water slides there with her brother Matt, filming it on his GoPro. It's all laughter until Rhea loses her grip on the ring and she goes flying off, smashing her head against the ride and going unconscious. As she slid into the water pool at the end of the ride, lifeguard staff quickly put her on a spinal board as a precautionary measure. Rhea suffered a bruised spine but ended up making a full recovery. At the number 4 spot now we have the Splash Blasters ride. That's a mouthful. This happened at the Magic Waters water park in Rockford, Illinois. A woman called Mary Tucknott got onto the ride and noticed that the back support cushion on her raft was deflated as they took off. She went speeding down it and the ride actually sends you into a hump. Mary was thrown into the air and landed hard, very hard. She broke her back. Now you guys might think this was maybe a rare occurrence, but amazingly the very next rider went down, hit the bump, went into the air and broke their back as well. Even more amazingly though is that the ride stayed open and the park is now being sued by several people who had similar back injuries on the ride. Okay, next up at number 3 we have the Mount Olympus Water and Theme Park. This attraction in Wisconsin closed its water slide during winter, but that didn't stop 3 teenagers from climbing onto it in December 2016. They were using a large plastic saucer to slide down it in the snow. A 16-year-old boy in the group got caught in the snow halfway down the slide. He tried to free himself, he stood up and he slipped, falling 35 feet to the ground. Paramedics tried to revive the teenager, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The lesson to be learned here is don't use icy water slides when they're closed. Not a good idea. Alright, we've reached number 2 now, and we have Waterworld USA. This California park experienced one of the most famous water slide tragedies in 1997. Students of the visiting Napa High School clambered onto the Banzai Pipeline ride. It was a 75-foot tall slide. It was only meant to be ridden by a few people at a time, but 120 of the teenagers got onto it at the same time. They were trying to break a school record. Unsurprisingly, it couldn't support their weight and it collapsed. 30 of them were seriously injured, and one of them actually died on the scene from a crushed chest. Apparently the pool of water below the ride turned red with blood. And finally, at number 1, we have the Verrute ride. This slide in Kansas claimed to be the tallest water slide on the planet, standing at 168 feet tall. That's almost 17 stories high. Now in August 2016, 10-year-old Caleb Schwab went onto the ride in a raft with 2 other women. Somehow his nylon shoulder straps came loose during the ride, and as he plummeted down, he was lifted out of the raft and hit a safety net on the way down. The lifeguard saw a body sliding down behind the raft, but when he finally got to the boy, he found that Caleb had been decapitated during the accident. The ride was later demolished, and an investigation was launched into the poor safety measures that allowed this to happen. Well guys, those definitely got more grim as the video went on. Now remember, 99.99% of water slides are totally safe, they're well tested and well monitored, so don't worry too much. I think that's why these stories are so shocking, to be fair. Now though, I want to know, what's the craziest water slide story you guys have? Let me know in the comment section below. My name is Danny Burke, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.